What's going on, YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got a really cool knife review slash knife overview to do with you guys. More of an overview because this is a custom knife. This is a custom Tyler Turner XL Donk. D-O-N-K. An oddly, at first, unfitting name, and now more fitting now that I'm sort of handling it here. This knife was sent to me by my very good friend, at Good and Out Jeff on Instagram. That's right, everyone. Jeff finally has his own card. Why he's just now getting a card, I have no idea, because Jeff is one of the absolute, largest supporters of the channel, in that he is constantly sending me these beautiful museum quality pieces for everybody to enjoy. So Jeff, thank you so much for doing that. And give him a follow, because without him and people like him, I wouldn't be able to do this for you guys. It's also largely due to, time me, here we go, ready? It's also largely due to my patrons, so if you'd like to support this channel, get your hands on some cool Metal Complex themed stickers, and gain access to my once-a-week Patreon exclusive content, click on the link down in the description to have a look around, and the support would mean the world to me. I also have Redbubble and some exclusive stickers that you can find there on Redbubble, including my Silent Night sticker. Check out my sister channel, Silent Complex. You can check out the full store using the link in the description. Get your hands on some cool merch and stickers in any color you want, even rainbow. How cool is that? All right. Tell me what my time was. Anyways, let's go ahead and get a measurement on this guy. Overall length of the donk. This is an XL donk, by the way. I don't have any experience with Mr. Tyler Turner. I do know that he makes all of his stuff in-house. This is a full custom knife. Very impressive considering the price of it. We're going to get to that. But this is an XL donk, which indicates there is at least one size below it. I'm going to guess a medium or 8 1/4 inch size knife, because this guy is coming in what I would call Hinderer XM24 size at a little over 9 1/4 inches. Very close to 9 1/2. The blade length is, if you go to that point, yeah, you're looking at like 3.94. If you go all the way back to here, you're looking at 4 1/4. Cutting edge is coming in at about 3.75 inches. So this is a big knife for sure. How about some size comparisons up against the Ontario Rat Model 1? Rat 1 looking kind of humorously small at 8.6 inches overall. How about up against the Spyderco PM2? Spyderco PM2 is coming in at 8.6 inches overall. How about up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue? Ritter Hogue coming in at 8 inches overall. And last but not least, the Spyderco Para 3 coming in at 7 1/4 inches overall. Let me do one more. The one that's the most commonly known, that's going to be, closer to the same size. How about the Microtech SOCOM Elite? Not everybody's had their hands on a SOCOM Elite, but you can see there, the SOCOM actually even shorter. Microtech SOCOM Elite coming in something like 9.1, 9 1/4 maybe. It's a little over 9 inches. The donk is definitely a little bit bigger knife than the SOCOM Elite. So there you go. I hope that gave you good perspective. How's the action on this guy? The action is insane. So this knife to me looks like the knife world, like at first glance, this looks like the knife world in 2014. Clunky, thick, aggressive titanium. But then you pick this up and you realize everything's been nicely knocked down. The blade is very, it's very finished. And then the action is so smooth. On a knife like this in 2014, I would have expected a little bit of friction. Heavy, solid lockup, but a little bit of frictions, a few things that are indicative of just, not quite like the precision manufacturing and knife making that we've got going on today. This thing in actual use feels 100% like a modern, fully finished knife, but has that aggressive, cool, kind of chunky appearance of a knife from 2013, 2014. There are elements here that make me think of Andre de Villiers, that make me think of Greg Medford, but everything's just a little more, it feels a little more polished. I don't know exactly how to say that, but that is the case. Now, we are looking at very thick titanium. I'm going to say that titanium is probably, it's at least 145 thousandths. In fact, I wonder if I can put it up against my XM here real quick, because I know for a fact on the XM18, it's 145 thousandths, 165 thousandths on the blade. So there you go. Yeah, it's the same thing. This has got the same thickness of titanium there. And then the blade is coming in. Turn on this old clunky thing. Tape on there to protect against these nicer custom knives. Oh, we probably should get it closed all the way so we get an accurate reading. Blade stock thickness coming in, yeah, 160,000. So very close to Hinder XM18. Thick blade, thick titanium, almost a 9.5-inch folding knife. Guys, this is going to be a heavy knife. That's just going to be the way that it is. Not everybody needs an ultra lightweight knife. Not everybody needs an ultra heavyweight knife. This knife comes in at, okay, not crazy, 6.17 ounces. Guys, here's my full tie XM18, my new one, that's much shorter, right? Dimensionally the same thing, and ta-da, weighs almost exactly the same. So I'm going to guess that there's some decent weight reduction in those holes there that are milled out. So there you go. Not crazy. Definitely way too heavy for a lot of people. Definitely way too big, I'm going to say, for most people. So if you're wearing jeans, right, you work on a construction site, you're wearing heavy-duty pants and jeans, you're not going to have a problem with this. If you're anybody else, or, if you're somebody who likes to wear, you don't like to wear, like, deep pocket jeans, heavy pant material, you like to wear anything else, this probably just isn't going to work for you. That doesn't mean you can't still buy it and enjoy it, right? But yeah, that's going to be the case. How about carry profile? So this is a big knife, and it is a fairly thick knife. Show you up against the Spyderco Para 3. A little thicker there in blade and scale. Profile, there's no flipper tab, so there's no crazy protrusions there. You can see that, in terms of like the amount of space it takes up in your pocket versus these two. Everybody loves carrying the Para 3 and PM2, right? But they're a little bit awkward, both in thickness and in height. This is a little bit thicker and a little bit longer than the PM2, definitely bigger than the Para 3, but not quite as tall. In terms of how it sinks into your pocket, like I said, if you're wearing jeans, no big deal. If this had a flipper tab, it'd be a totally different thing, but it doesn't. It's fine for what it is. Let's go ahead and talk about the anatomy here. So what we're looking at is 6AL4V titanium, and the blade steel is CTS XHP, which is one of my very favorite steels of all time, made by a carpenter. Very good edge retention, very stainless, and decently tough. I'm going to show you guys the card here so that you guys can get in contact with Mr. Turner if you want to. He also has Instagram. Here is the card for the knife. You can see it's a Donk, CTS XHP. It was built in 2019, so that's pretty cool. I love CTS XHP, and I think a lot of custom makers like to work with it because what I understand, and it's a carpenter steel, by the way, so that's a US steel, and it is powder formed. Wait, that's right, isn't it? I'm having a brain fart. 99% sure CTS XHP is powder formed. But anyways, it takes a nice polish, and you can see here that's being emphasized by this flat up here. Let me get my fingerprints off it. I try not to touch it, and then somehow I just get my fingerprints on everything. You can see here that this is a very, high polished blade. Not quite mirror polished, but it's almost taking a mirror polish. And the different lines, like we've got vertical and horizontal lines, and the difference there is creating this interesting, it's not quite a two-tone effect, but it's just ever so slightly different. This is a very shiny, very reflective blade. It's been highly polished, and I really, really like that. Every time I show this thing on a live stream or on my Knife Guy episodes, somebody in the comments asks about it. What is that? That thing looks awesome. The corners up here are a little bit sharp. Little bit. Not the craziest thing in the world, but you're definitely going to catch your fingernail on it. Now, the jimping up here is not super uncomfortable. I'm plenty happy with that. In terms of like lock-in, this feels great. But yeah, it's just a little bit sharp here. Take a look at the top view of this swedge. See how he's got that kind of sort of carved in there? Sort of this concave thing he's got going on with the swedge. That's really, really cool. This is a large Warncliffe with a fairly steep drop down to the tip, so you do carry a lot of strength, a lot of that 160 thousandths down here. That's going to be plenty strong if you're going to be doing some, you're going to be pretty aggressive there with that tip. I wouldn't worry about it too much. There is a lot of room for this blade to drop, so despite it being a big blade, it's not an absolute laser beam down here, but it is a lot thinner than a lot of larger blades. Way thinner behind the edge than like an XM24. This feels very similar to how a Strider, like this SMF, it feels very similar behind the edge to the Strider SMF. That Strider is a much thicker blade though. But yeah, feels similar. Not going to test it out. This isn't mine, but just by touch, that's what it feels like. There is a nice large choil right here. It's just kind of a, not quite a second knuckle choil. You know, I can definitely get here. Here, you run the risk a little bit running up on the blade. No big deal. I love that the blade and the frame is completely sterile. Nothing. He didn't put anything on it. There's nothing on the back, nothing on the front. It's sharp looking. It's also monochromatic, which is something that I just really, really like. The biggest contrast comes between this heavy, what I would call a working finish, or it looks like concrete, right? Heavy, dark, matte tumbling. That in contrast with the ultra reflectivity on the blade and the reflectivity you're coming from the polish on the inside of these bowls here is just nice. You have a show side pivot, very reflective. You can see me wearing my blue shirt and everything else around me. Nice large stop pin back here. You can see there is a little bit of shouldering, so that's nice. By the way, it is running on bearings. I don't think I said that. And also, you can definitely do a reverse flick on this guy. There's plenty of room on both sides to get your finger underneath that stud. And the action is very satisfying because the blade is so big and heavy and there's so much recoil, but it's also been like very well taken care of on the inside of the pivot in terms of like any polishing or making sure that everything's nice and flat so the action is smooth, right? Everything's just nicely done. So I really, really like that. Let's get to the handle screws here. I believe, I don't want to touch this with my tools, but I believe that that's a T8. Let's take a look here at a T8 screw really close to it. Handy dandy, WIA bit selector and WIA magnetic driver. Two items that I can recommend to everybody because they're super inexpensive and they're great tools for taking down your knives. There's also links down there for some amazing high-end production US knives like the PM2 and Para 3 and of course budget knives like the Rat. Tons of stuff down there. Like dozens and dozens of knives and EDC gear and tools. So if you've got an itch and you need to scratch it, check out my description. There's something down there for everybody. I'm gonna guess those handle screws are T8. And yeah, 99.9% sure that that is a T8 head. So bravo, Mr. Turner. I hate T6 and I love T8 and beyond. That's great. We do have some nice standoffs here. Nice sort of barrel standoffs. Lots of lines in there. It looks really, really nice. That's going to hold up. You know, in terms of structural integrity, I think standoffs work just fine. You can see they're absolutely perfect centering. Pocket clip goes right along with the design. It's more of a swoop than a, let me get an example of a pocket clip. Oh, here. Guardian Tactical, the one I'm carrying today. This sucks, this style where it comes down and then abruptly comes up like a duckbill. It sucks because it grabs things much more readily than a design like this that's more of a swoop. Excuse me, that is a big, thick titanium pocket clip, but in and out of the pocket, it's just fine. The thing that catches my pockets more than anything else are the thumb studs. You can see here they stick out a little further than the frame. My thought would be make a scallop right here so that you can still engage with the thumb stud without them having to be so large. You could you know, make them sort of flush with the face of the frame here, and then they wouldn't catch so readily on your pants while you're pulling it in and pulling it out. But it's a pretty minor thing, not that big of a deal. There's lots of that is the case with plenty of knives out there. It's just something that I've noticed. Moving around here to the backside, you can see there's no lock bar insert, no over travel stop or anything like that, but that's okay. It doesn't necessarily need that. This is going to be a carbidized lock face, and you can see there it's locking up. Let's go ahead and do a lock up on an actual deployment. So that's about the force that I'd naturally deploy it there. So it's locking up nice and early at about 25 to 30%. Absolutely solid. No blade play up, down, left, or right. Very solid. Very nice. Like that a lot. So, you know, this is a custom knife. So I don't generally like critique. I don't really critique things the same way. This is more of a, hey, look how beautiful this is a handmade object. Obviously, not everybody in the knife world is after handmade objects because, first and foremost, they are way more expensive than regular knives, right? So that takes the whole review thing out of it. I just don't do it. I just like to look at custom knives because they're fun, right? But two little teeny tiny things that bug me are how far out the thumb studs stick And what was the other thing? Oh, there's a little bit of sharpness in the spine. Those are minor things. It's not, I mean, whatever. The truth is that this is obviously a knife that's made by somebody who cares about his product. He's got a lot. I mean, like his abilities are definitely through the roof. I mean, this is definitely, it feels like a custom knife made by somebody who is both very masterful and cares very much about the product that they make. And on top of that, it's very functional. I mean, the blade shape, the handle shape, I mean, this is a functional knife. It's definitely somebody who was trying to make a tool and not an art piece, and I always appreciate that. Here's what I think is really, really cool. I think this is a pretty basic version of the knife, CTS XHP with a high satin, more reflective satin finish and then a tumbled handle. This is a custom knife, okay? Keep in mind, made in the USA, handmade, everything's handmade, everything's made in-house. Generally, that somebody telling me that, I'm gonna think immediately at least 900 bucks, a lot of times over 1,000. This is actually coming in at 750 bucks. Considering that's more around the realm of a Medford knife, and Medford knives definitely have some machine work that go into them, which, you know, costs a little bit less than, you know, in terms of the time and the attention to detail. I'm thinking that's pretty cool. Obviously, that's way more than most people will ever spend on a knife, and it's actually a little bit outside of what I normally spend. I kind of like to hover around the $400 to $500 mark when I'm purchasing a new knife for myself, and it's like a really prestigious thing. Or I tend to stay in the $100 to $200 high-end production knife world if I'm looking for more of a user. But for people who are looking for a handmade custom piece and they want, you know, something that is made well, has beautiful finishes, has premium materials, and then is capable of actually being used because of how it was put together and, you know, the lines, ergonomic lines and ease of deployment, things like that, I think you'd be really happy with this. I think, honestly, a smaller version would make a much better everyday cutting tool, but I really like the overall profile. And I mean, I'm really glad to handle, you know, Mr. Turner's work here and be able to experience it. It's my understanding that his table and I could be wrong about this, I was reading about it on Fort Henry Custom Knives where Jeff actually picked this up. In 2019 at Blade Show, his table sold out. So that's pretty cool. There are people who definitely already know about him, and I think he's been making knives for a while. So I think this guy's going to become fairly popular if he's not already, which, I mean, he probably is, because I sometimes can be disconnected with certain parts of the knife world. But in any case, this is really, really cool. I have a special place for custom knives on this channel. It's a playlist called Custom Knives. That way they're all in one place, and they're not really, it's not really me going, I recommend this or don't recommend this. They just are, here they are, they're custom knives. So if you want to check out all the custom knife reviews I've ever done or overviews that I've ever done, check out that playlist. And also please check out Silent Complex, my sister channel, where I just show the knives for 2 minutes and I don't talk and you don't have to listen to me rant and rave for 20 minutes. Anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this upload, please leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on this Metal Complex logo right here and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.